one FAF random match between Isen, who is Cybran, green, playing on a Paradise map, against Zock Aeon, otherwise known as Zock now, in his ACU. As we can see, both players are starting with different build plans. Zock's going Land Factory 2, Power Generators and 3 Mexes, while Isen's going Quick Air. So Isen's going to do a T1 Bomber, followed by 2 Power Generators and 2 Mexes. So obviously Isen's trying to terrorise Zock with an early T1 Bomber, which will make it quite interesting to see how this entire match plays out. As we can see on the Paradise map, we have civilian buildings on each island, and there's 4 islands. Obviously they're starting at the top and bottom islands. About 4 to 5 mexes on each of the islands, with little ones in between. As we can see, Isen's T1 Bomber is just being released, and if we have a look and see what's that. As we have a look, Isen is currently seeing what's going on. As we can see, a quick T1 scout from Zock, as we can clearly see. If we've got one, yep, T1 scout. So obviously Isen's now scouting Zock's base. Obviously Zock is well aware of the bomber. As we can see, Isen has tried to kill Zock's T1A, but obviously has failed miserably. So that's not good for Isen, as that early bomber has just been completely wasted. As we can now see, Zock now has 2 AA turrets, and he's just sniped the T1 scout and the T1 engineer of Zock, so obviously he wasn't well prepared for that. As we can see, Isen's going over to the island on the left to see if there's anyone there that he can snipe before it starts building anything. Obviously there isn't, so as we can see, Zock's still aware that the bomber is up and roaming around. So he has 2 T1A. As we can see, the bomber's just got into range, and the T1A is now shooting it. And the bomber dropped and killed the T1AA, but didn't kill the engineer. So obviously, Zock is just happy that only the T1AA was killed and not the T1 engineer, as he's using that to assist the other engineer with hydrocarbon power plant, and he will be building a T1 land factory. As we can see, Zock is going to go and do an ACU rush into Isen's space, but Isen is probably well aware of this, as these 2 players are pros in the Forge Lines game, and Isen is now building a T1 naval factory. So obviously he wants to get some subs and T1 frigates up, which is the best bet to kill any Auroras flying over the sea. So obviously this will be brilliant for them. As we can see, Zock does have a T1 land scout on the island to the left, so obviously it can shoot at 2 HP every hit, but obviously won't do enough damage to the Isen's ACU, which is now Isen's engineer, which is now currently engaging and reclaiming the civilian buildings, which gives them a nice little mass boost. As we can see, we've also got another T1 bomber from Isen on the loose, and we can see Isen has seen that Zock has a T1 interceptor, which he is just intercepting and killing. Obviously Isen's trying to get the bomber out of danger of the interceptor from Zock, but Zock's interceptor does kill the T1 bomber, so Isen isn't lucky at that time. As we look over to the right hand side of the map, we've got Isen with his ACU currently seeing what damage he can cause over there, what is there. But obviously, as we can see, the civilian building just in front of Isen is taking all the hits from the engineer. So as soon as the engineer killed itself, Isen's ACU killed him. As we can see, we've also got Zock in the middle of the water, heading straight at Isen's main base. So obviously Isen's going to be in trouble now, but Isen does have T1 frigate up and running, killing the Auroras and the T1 land scouts. obviously this is a fantastic move by Isen. Try and cut out all support that Zock has. As we can see, Isen does have torpedo launchers up now, so he knows Zock is incoming. He's building torpedo launchers to shoot at Zock's ACU, but obviously the torpedoes don't do as much damage as you would hope. But he's doing enough to make Zock run to the island. Obviously, once Zock goes to the island, he'll be out of range of the torpedo launchers, but he'll be in range of the T1 frigates. But Isen has other ideas of these T1 frigates. I think we'll just look outside Zock's base. He's got a T1 sonar up, which Isen's T1 frigate is currently killing. But he's also got 3 Auroras going to the left hand side of the base, which that T1 frigate will quickly deal with. 2 shots to Aurora and it's dead. As we can look on the bottom of the left hand side of the map, we've got an Aurora and a Spirit currently assaulting T1 mechs of Isen, which is currently 3 shots away from being killed. As we look over the right hand side of the map, Isen has completely reclaimed most of the civilian buildings. He's also built a T1 land factory. So obviously this will give Isen the advantage of having both areas, but as we can see, Zock has already captured the second island to the left hand side, so it's pretty much advantage Zock at the moment because he's got the bigger income and the most income from Isen. But Isen doesn't really care about this. As we can see, Zock is currently on 5,400 HP, so he's heavily damaged. So Zock's heavily damaged. He's building the mass extractors just outside of Isen's base, but obviously Isen's fully aware of this. Isen's doing the exact same tactic that Zock did, just in front of his base, while Isen is then going straight up and once Isen comes out of the water, will start assaulting the T1 naval factory that Zock is currently building just top right hand side of Isen's ACU. As you look at the top left of Zock base, he's got a T1 naval factory. He's building a T1 sub. Obviously we've got 3 Auroras currently engaging the 2 T frigates. One's just been killed by a T1 sub there. So obviously Isen's in real danger of losing the sea battle at the top right hand corner. He needs to kill that T1 naval factory very fast, but it's down to 600 health. But it's been shot at again by Auroras, so one frigate. Can one frigate survive? One frigate has survived that and killed the T1 naval factory, but that has given Zock, before he was able to do that, two subs have been built. As we can see, Zock is currently in the reclaiming mode. Reclaiming mode of Isen's T1 land factory on the right hand side of the map. But Isen's ACU is currently pushing straight into Zock's base now. So obviously 2 subs versus 1 sub and a frigate from Isen. So obviously Isen's going to win that fight until he gets another sub out from his T1 naval factory. So look over on the left hand side of the map, we've got Zock creating a second T1 land factory. So obviously these land factories will be able to help Zock spam and kill Isen a lot faster. As we can see, as we look into Zock's base, Isen is currently taking out all the engineers, which is currently building T1 point defences and walls around the T1 point defences, so Isen can't kill him as quickly, but only 1 engineer left and he has done that. So Isen has successfully invaded Zock's base without any major opposition, apart from a handful of Auroras and scouts and 1 T1 engineer which is just being killed. So this is pretty much even Stevens at the moment. Obviously Isen's well aware, both players are well aware of what each other can do. Isen's ACU is currently trying to take out all of the power as well as take out the Auroras currently shooting him. But Isen does have 1-star veterancy, 7 kills away from 2-star veterancy. As we look over at Zock's ACU, he's building a T1 land factory on the right hand side of the base now. So obviously Zock has now officially captured all 3 bases, just leaving Isen's main base completely open to attack from all 3 sides. But Isen has now successfully got 2-star veterancy. So as we can see, Isen is still bashing away at Zock's main base, but Zock does have a T2 land factory up, spamming arrows even faster. Zock also has a T1 PD up, which is currently hammering away at Isen's health. Obviously, Isen is just overcharged the T1 PD, which is currently wiped it out quite quickly in that regard. As we can see, Zock still has one T1 sub up, but Zock is currently rebuilding a naval factory at the top left hand side of his base. So this is quite interesting to see how Zock uses all of his resources against Isen, which is currently blasting the hell away at his base. As we can see, there's still two Auroras and a Scout, which is just being killed in Zock's main base. So Zock is still keep feeding Isen veterancy, which probably isn't good for Zock. Probably isn't good for Zock at all if Isen keeps getting veterancy, because more health, more HP regen, which is good for Isen, obviously, which he's 3 kills away from getting 3-star veterancy now. So obviously, Zock's really thinking about how to kill Isen. He does have a he does have double the mass income of Isen, but pretty much the same power at the moment. So obviously, Zock's ACU is building a T1 naval factory just at the bottom right hand side of the map. As we can see, Zock's building more T1 power generators, obviously, because Isen wiped out most of his T1 power generators in his base. So obviously Zock still isn't happy that Isen's still in his base, but there isn't much Zock can do about this. He's building T1 PDs just on the left hand side of Isen's ACU, but Isen is well aware of that and is moving away. So obviously Zock is now moving his ACU in to rebuild a mass spot, and is then starting to go into his base to assault Isen's ACU. So obviously Isen is doing the most successful job of really terrorizing Zock's base completely to hell. As we can see, the T1 PD just left of Isen's ACU. As we can see, just outside the range, Isen's ACU is just outside the range of the T1 PD, so obviously that's perfect for Isen. But as we can see, Zock's moving his ACU engineers even closer to build a second T1 point defense. Obviously that will be in range of Isen's ACU, but Isen probably Isen doesn't see this. Yes, he does. He's shot away at the engineers currently building the T1 point defense. So obviously the T1 point defense, the second T1 point defense, has been killed. Isen just officially received his 4-star veterancy on his ACU, so his ACU is basically an XP at this stage of in the game. In 12 minutes in, that makes Isen's ACU even harder to kill. As we have a look at health wise, Isen's got 3,000 health over Zock, so Isen and Zock can just power it out of each other, but Isen's running back to C in the line of the T1 PD, as we can clearly see there. So Zock's just got the second T1 PD up, so obviously Isen's ACU's health's going down even faster due to the second T1 PD, which he's just now officially killed. So obviously, if we look on the left hand side of the map, we have a T2 land factory building hoverbots, but Isen has T2 air up. So obviously Isen is going air while Zock goes land. Obviously Zock's going to be trying to rebuild his base now, which Isen has successfully killed with 87 kills, so that's extremely good at 14 minutes into the game. Obviously the Cybran T2 air is currently taking a lot out of the left hand side of Zock's base, so this is pretty much turned out to be a cracker of a game. As we can look at the top left hand side of Zock's base, we've got 2 subs. One sub is on 50 HP, so if Isen shoots at it, that will die, but obviously he's been shooting at the other sub, which was at full health. So obviously Isen is just trying to take out all the T1 air of Zock while killing the base below T1 air. As we can see on the right hand side of the map, we've got 2 T1 air turrets up, currently shooting at the T2 bombers. Obviously that they've done the job. We've also got T2 air defense, mobile air defense from Zock. So obviously that's going to do even help Zock out over the water because they can hover, and so can shields. If we look over the left hand side of the map, 2 blazers with 1 shield and some AA. So obviously Zock really wants to start taking the fight to Isen. As we have a look over onto the right hand side of the map, Isen is currently taking out the power generators of Zock's base. Isen's SU is now joined in the fight. So obviously Isen's SU has got 88 kills, and if he finishes off this base he'll definitely have 100, which is 5-star veterancy. So this is pretty much pretty even game, apart from Zock has all 3 bases while Isen has 1. As you have a look over at Isen's second base, where Zock's second base where Isen is currently trying to kill, but he's just turned the assault off, and he has turned the assault on to the hydrocarbon power plant just over to the left hand side of Zock's main base. As we can see, Isen is quickly dealing with the air, so obviously that's going to be going to be causing Zock even more problems. As we have a look over the right hand side of the map, we've got Isen still shooting away at Zock's third base officially, reclaiming the power generators, and he's on 98 kills, so 2 more kills and Isen will be 5-star veterancy, which is pretty much lethal in this game at the moment. Obviously no one's gone more than T2. Obviously Zock has decided to go T2 land while Isen's gone air. Obviously Cybran don't have any hover units, but they do have amphibious units. So obviously Zock does have the advantage at the current moment in time, but as we can see, Isen is currently just hovering over Zock's SU, so as soon as Zock's SU comes out of the water, he's going to be blasted away. But as we can have a look, Isen's T2 air bombers are currently shooting at the blazers of Zock. So obviously Zock's going to have major problems in the moment with all them blazers gone. Just be back 1 minute. As we can see, Zock is currently using his blazers to wipe out the T1 naval factory and the 2 T1 torpedo launch along with the sonar. As we have a look at Isen's bombers are currently Isen's bombers were trying to kill Zock. As you can see, the T2 bombers have just took out 4 of the blazers. We've got 2 just on the right hand side of Isen's main base, while we have 2 currently accompanied by the T2 air defense and some mobile shields. So obviously Isen's doing quite well at this moment in stage. Obviously he really wants to get rid of them mobile flaks as well as the shields. But as we can see, he's moving his air to assault the main base of Zock, which is just keep well away from the AA that Zock has in his base, but do enough damage to the land factories and the units around it. As we can see, the T2 air is currently attacking the T1 interceptors of Zock. So obviously Zock doesn't have any air superiority. Isen has it all. As we can see, there is T2 flak which is just being killed, which is currently shooting at the T2 fighters and bombers, and he's going to use a handful of them to shoot down the other one. Why 3 of them take out Zock's main base. Obviously while Isen was busy on all over the map, Zock now has T2 air factory and is now building T2 interceptors. So obviously this match is even more matched, pretty much all over the place. As we can see, there's only a handful of T2 fighters left for Isen. 5 T2 fighters left, while Zock has 2 T2 interceptors and 2 T1. Obviously Isen's trying to stop the T1 from being built while keeping his fighters safe. This is pretty much evens, as we can see. There's 3 T1 subs currently attacking Isen's T1 naval factory now, which are currently attacking the T1 frigate. Isen is slowly rebuilding over on the right hand side of the map with 5-star veterancy, while Zock sits in the sea doing nothing and leaving his engineers to build T1, T2 interceptors as well as T1. So obviously Zock's trying to think out the best way to try and kill Isen, but obviously with the air superiority that Isen has, Zock doesn't really have much of a chance at the moment. He's still building T2 blazers from the unassisted T2 factory, which have just been paused. So obviously Zock's diverting all of his mass and all of his energy into building air. So obviously Zock wants to try and regain air superiority from Isen. If we have a look at Isen's forces, Isen has definitely lost all of his T2 fighters and bombers. The resources are pretty much evens, considering it's 2 bases. As we have a look, Zock is moving his SCU in to attack Isen's at his 2nd base. Isen's doing an upgrade, looks like the gun upgrade or a tech upgrade on his ACU. As we look over on the left hand side of the map, just outside Isen's main base, Zock now has 6 blazers in right behind. Obviously Isen is now building T1 point defense just next to his ACU. So obviously Zock is just standing right outside of Isen's main base, Isen's 2nd base. As we have a look over the left hand side of Isen's base, we have the 6 blazers currently trying to assault Isen's main base. As we have a look, the blazers is currently long ranging assaulting T2 mass extractors, while Isen is quickly rushing to build T1 point defences with walls around them. So obviously that'll start dealing with blazers quite quickly. So obviously, and we also have T2 amphibious tanks from Isen. So obviously this is going to be a great fight of the naval sides of both factions. As we have a look, the T1 point defences are currently attacking the blazers, while the T2 point defence is also assisting. 3 of the 6 blazers are down, now make that 5 of the 6. Obviously the attack by Zock did a damage on one of the mass extractors, but pretty much even Stevens. Isen is doing a 2nd upgrade on his ACU from the 1st, which is either gun or tech. Let's have a look and see what he's got. Isen went for the gun upgrade on the 1st one, so as soon as the 2nd one's done, we'll have a look and see what that upgrade is. If you have a look over at the left hand side of the base, we've got Zock heavily assisting his T2F factory with 25 T1 engineers, and in the main base we've got 9 T1 engineers assisting his T1 air factory as well. We've also got a T2 naval factory being built. He's building a T2 naval destroyer. Isen now has T2 gunship up. So obviously Isen doesn't have a clue that Zock has a lot more air than Isen has or did. So that isn't a good predicament for Isen. As we see, Isen has done the stealth upgrade on his ACU, so obviously Isen is now going to be moving into Zock of his ACU upgrade. Obviously Zock is now doing an ACU upgrade of his own, which he's now just finished. So if you have a look at that, so Zock had the T2 upgrade on his ACU. As we have a look, we've got T1 engineers currently reclaiming the T1 T2 flak that Zock has, which had 1-star veterancy on. And as we can see, Zock is currently capturing some engineers of Isen, so obviously that's a bad move by Isen, letting Zock capture a Cyber and T1 engineer. As we have a look over, if we have a look over in Isen's main base, we've got a T2 factory and we've also got a T2 air factory, currently spamming gunships. So obviously Isen is moving the gunships in to try and snipe the T1 engineers of his own, which is just being captured by Zock. So one of them has just been killed. Is the second one going to make it? No, the second one has been killed. So as we can see, Isen is now currently assaulting Zock's main ACU. So it's going to be a standoff between Zock's air and Isen's air, as well as their ACU fight. So obviously Zock is quickly pulling his air out of it and gathering him back up for a major offensive against Isen's T1 air, which he's just done successfully. So obviously Zock has now gained T1 and T2 air supremacy over Isen. So obviously Isen's now trying to think of a way how to stop Zock. Obviously Isen's going for another upgrade. If we have a look and see what the other upgrade is. Looking from the upgrade position, it is stealth number 2 on Isen's ACU. As we have a look, Isen has got some amphibious assault bots currently assaulting Zock's main base. Obviously there's T1 PD set up, but obviously that's not going to do much damage against amphibians. Amphibious tanks of Cyberans are extremely deadly in numbers. As we have a look at there, there's a T2 destroyer shot from Zock's naval, which killed his own factory, so obviously Zock isn't too pleased with that. As we have a look, we've got 4 T1 submarines currently attacking Isen's ACU, but Isen's still upgrading, so obviously that's going to be a major problem. Meanwhile in Zock's main base, we've got 4 amphibious assault bots currently killing Zock's main source of income. As we have a look, we've also got T2 destroyer now currently assaulting Isen's ACU. So obviously T2 destroyers do a lot more damage with the torpedoes and the depth charges that they have. Obviously as soon as Isen leaves the water, he's going to get shot by the T2 destroyer's main gun as well. Obviously Isen's 5-star veterancy is coming into play right now, as he's dropped below 4,000 health. He's now down to 1,800. He's currently doing invaded tactics on the T2 destroyer's gun, which is good for Isen, because it may help him live a bit more, but he's now down to 1,000 health. So it's pretty much game over for Isen as he dodges another bullet of the T2 destroyer. And again, as we can just have a look at this, but there's T2 gunships currently over Isen's ACU, so obviously Isen needs to get in the water like now before his ACU goes bloom, but he can't. So this has been a good game for Isen and Zock, with Zock remaining the winner. Obviously this was all the way. This was an intense game, and it's a good game, Zock and Isen, and well done Zock.